Connor, congratulations. Start bench cut, becoming a father. Knicks NBA title.
You're going to make this man cut being a father?
I'll do it. Team USA gold medal in overtime.
Give him the solo camp.
For now, cut. Becoming a father, the Knicks NBA title is the start. It's absolutely the start, obviously. And the bench is Team USA.
That was beautiful.
And Cameron, if you see any clips of me being that beginning part being cut out, it was AI. I'm being set up. You will always be the cut.
Welcome to the opening bell of the NFL Stock Exchange podcast. Damn it, it's the quarterback episode of Summer Scouting. We had to get it in.
Damn right.
Trevor, Sikkema, and Connor Rogers back after some technical difficulties with you guys to talk about what is set up to be a legendary quarterback class. Before the 2026 draft was even over, people couldn't wait to get to the 2027 class. So today,
Way too early mocks.
we actually get to the tape. We took a look at, I watched 29, 30 quarterbacks for this.
Yeah, you got to find Jesus.
And brother, he was right here next to me watching the tape. He's interested as well. Jesus subscribes to the show. We know that. I am sure, though.
Super chats and wine and bread.
As it is tradition around these parts, I could have watched 60 quarterbacks. And you're still going to have somebody on your list that I didn't watch. I know it. I'm sure.
I don't know this year.
I'm sure of it.
This is like a fun thing we do every year, is finding some niche player after Trevor watches 100 prospects at a position group and I find someone that he didn't. I watched, I think, 23, 22, so you got a good 6 quarterback lead on me here. We'll see how it goes. I think this group, everybody's going to recognize the names at the top because this class is already being hailed as, a big improvement from last year, and you'll see, can 10 guys go in the first round? And no, that's not going to happen. But it has a lot of...
Can 10 quarterbacks go in the top 5?
Top picks. That's happening. The stuff I've already seen on Sorsby since he had to apply for the supplemental draft is, like, we're cranking up the takes. Cranking them up. We have to have the Sorsby conversation today because I don't know when else we will. He went from not being in the show to then being on this show where I had him in my rankings, and now he's not on the show again in the rankings.
Yeah, he co-hosted the show at one point, but now he does say that he actually wants to go in the supplemental draft and play in the NFL. So we will talk about him. I'll talk about where I had him in terms of these rankings, like where he would have been, and I feel like that's a very natural way to talk about the Sorsby situation as it stands today with him getting in the supplemental draft. Some people
That's like a cover band. The Sorsby situation.
Actually,
they open up at the Hell in a Cell bar with only AC/DC songs.
I was going to ask what kind of cover band they are.
They only play AC/DC songs, but none of the good ones.
AC/DC is that's a tough one. That's a tough one to. I mean,
because it's a love or hate kind of thing. There's not really a lot of casual AC/DC fans.
I don't think I've ever seen anybody attempt an AC/DC karaoke.
Not a good idea.
No.
It won't be easy to replicate.
But ranking our top 12 quarterbacks for the 2027 NFL draft. I didn't even ask the chef how the graphics go for today. I don't know if we're releasing them all at once. It looks like, Chef, are we going 7 through 12? Are we releasing them in that batch, and then we'll sort of talk about it there?
It's going to be 7 through 12 and then 1 through 6. Yeah.
Okay.
Nice.
All right. There we go. All right. So we'll go 7 through 12, and then we'll go 1 through 6, and we'll talk about these quarterbacks here. So without further ado, it's going to be a long one. We got a lot of quarterbacks to get to, and especially at the end of the episode, we know that some of you guys will shout out, hey, what do you think about this player? What do you think about this player? And we'll get to some thoughts of some guys that maybe didn't make the top 12. But let's fire away. Connor, I think the animation has your list coming up first. And there it is. LaNorris Sellers from South Carolina at number 7. Jayden Maiava from USC at number 8. Damon Williams from Washington. I knew it would happen.
No. That's the one?
I didn't watch Damon Williams.
Okay. That's not crazy.
I watched 30. How is this possible?
How is this
possible?
I don't know. We're
going to have to start with him.
Yeah, I think we are.
You got Darian Mensah at 10, who was at Duke, and now he transferred over to Miami. Sam Leavitt, who was at Arizona State, transferred over to LSU. And then you got John Mateer at number 12.
Yeah, so Trevor and I, to do the show kind of the old school way, instead of ranking 15 or 20, we're ranking 12 quarterbacks, and then we'll have the honorable mention conversation. So, I saw right in the beginning of the chat.
Or
Drake Lindsey.
Or dishonorable.
Or the dishonorable mentions.
Yeah. Maybe
I don't even want to act like this guy exists.
Right. Maybe it's not the honorable mention. Maybe it's the dishonorable
I'm pissed
mention.
as hell I watched him. Yeah, so you'll hear plenty of names, or maybe you won't during the conversation.
TV Lowry in the chat said Trevor slacking, I guess. I'll find you. Okay.
I
will find you.
It's so unfair to Trevor, who watched 30 quarterbacks. There has to be like 10 out of that group that might not even get drafted, have a chance of getting drafted. And I have somebody that,
Yeah, I mean, I had like 6 UDFA grades, and I didn't watch a guy who made your top 10. That's just unbelievable. But anyway.
Yeah, I think part of that is, though, too, I mean, to be fair with Damon Williams, he's somebody that right off the bat, he's under 6 feet tall. I'm on a spring height at 5'10" and a half. Like that is really short for a quarterback. And the reason, I guess we'll just get right into it. The reason he did come in at 9 for me, and I think some people will be like, wow, top 10. This quarterback class was fun to watch. I didn't come away with the opinion that I think a lot of people are already running with, that this is a great quarterback class today. I think it has promise, but it's not like the 9th ranked quarterback on my list is a second rounder, right? That's where I think it gets kind of crazy when you hear, like you said, Trevor, 10 guys can go in the top 5.
Right.
People always look at whether it's the ceiling or the highs and the highlight tape of a guy, where, and then they kind of run with what he could be. So right away, get into the good, because I do have him 9, and I don't want to take away from that. And besides the fact, like, yes, he's a small quarterback, this guy is every definition of a dual threat playmaker. I mean, you watch him right away, you go, oh, wow, like this is not the same caliber, because I think people quickly forget how amazing at the time, or electric at the time, a prospect Kyler Murray was. But he plays and does things in a manner that can remind you of Kyler Murray at times. Maybe it's not that caliber, because Kyler's arguably the greatest high school quarterback of all time, and what he accomplished in college, and his arm strength at his size was pretty unique. But with this guy, he's got enough arm strength. You notice it on the deep ball specifically. I've watched him throw 50 yards in the air opposite hash, like down the sideline, where I'm like, okay, he could push the ball down the field. I'm not saying he's going to drop back and throw a 100-mile-per-hour laser in a tight window over the middle of the field, which is probably question number 1 after the height, is that I'm not convinced he sees the middle of the field well enough. He'll force throws, he'll miss zone-dropping defenders, roaming in the middle of the field, and that is just always the number 1 thing that I think is going to come up when people go, okay, short, but how does it affect his game? When short quarterbacks don't see the middle of the field well, you have to be concerned that that's only become more difficult at the next level. So, but when the good of this guy is that he throws a pretty deep ball down the field, he tries to push the ball down the field on 3rd and longs. His running style is very similar to Kyler. I mean, he had 791 rushing yards last year. He had 44 missed tackles forced, a .36 missed tackles forced rate. That is a high number. I mean, he is very, very elusive and hard to bring down. And that's as a playmaker trying to buy more time, or as a pure runner. And when pass rushers get to him, he's got this quick stop and start and this twitch to make them miss. And he's small, so it's a smaller strike zone. But it just goes back to really 2 things besides the height for me. The middle of the field throwing, and that lack of consistent timing and rhythm throwing the middle of the field. And then he's a very gifted athlete in terms of a college runner, but the games against Ohio State, Michigan, and Oregon, 3 teams that you know what you're seeing, NFL caliber defenders on those units. Those 3 games last year, they held him to a combined 69 rushing yards. And they lost all 3 of those games by double-digit points. So is he just a dynamic runner against bad to average competition? but against NFL caliber defenders, he's just an average runner, not a dynamic playmaker. That's what we have to kind of see this year. So Damon Williams, fun player to watch, has some arm talent, unique dual threat, very small. There's growing pains for sure, but I was pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, I mean, for these smaller quarterbacks, it's not a kiss of death if your measurables are very small for the NFL, but you've got to be able to do certain things. Like, there really is a baseline. I mean, I had Bryce Young as my top quarterback in the draft that he was coming out in 2023. And it's because, okay, even though he was smaller, he anticipated things so well. He would attack over the middle of the field. He do a lot of this. And Bryce wasn't even the fastest player, but it's just the way that he anticipated things. I felt like he could make up for it. Obviously, even a player like Bryce gets to the NFL, and we've seen over the last couple of years that he can struggle. I think the tough part with Williams and his measurables that I'm just looking at right here, I mean, if he's truly like 5'10 and a half, that's first percentile, and the weight specifically, right? Right. Kyler was at the combine at 207. I bet Kyler's probably like 215, what he plays at in the NFL, 215, 220, because he's been, in the NFL for a couple of years now. I mean, 190 is without even close, 0th percentile in the NFL.
His spring weight, he got up to 195. So it's going the right direction, but it's still light.
I mean, even 195 is, let me see here, first percentile. So it's not 0th percentile. It would be first percentile. So this is an outlier in every single way. And so I have to watch this player, but smaller, lighter, he better be one hell of an athlete, because even the best examples that we can think of, right? Kyler, his athleticism, everything. Like, Kyler has struggled in the league. Now, we had a year where he was phenomenal. I can't remember what year that was, but so like it worked out for. Has it been consistent for Kyler? No. He obviously had the injury, which threw a wrench in all that. But Bryce has struggled, and it's just harder. It's really, really hard. Now, I have a smaller quarterback in my top 5 that I'm excited to talk about, but it can definitely be sometimes an insurmountable mountain that you have to climb over when you are a smaller quarterback, even for those that have maybe better arm strength than you might expect. It's just a tough journey for him.
It definitely is. And that's how a guy this talented ends up at 9, where like it's just a barrier. Yeah. Right? Yeah. It's a barrier when you're that small and you have small quarterback limitations. And I really liked some of the tape. I didn't even ever consider putting him in, forget the top 5. Obviously, he wasn't in the top 8. Right. And I like and this is, by the way, after taking Sorsby out, I had Sorsby ahead of him. So okay. Right before I took Sorsby out, he was quarterback 10. In a bucket, let's go. If we can go back to the quarterback rankings, I would have him tiered with Mensah, Leavitt, and Mateer. Mm-hmm. Like, that would be a group together for me in a tier. And then when you get to Maiava, and Sorsby would be in this range, and Sellers, that would be a different tier. So I don't think he's as good as, Maiava and Sellers, but he definitely is in that big bucket with it's funny because Damon Williams, Sam Leavitt, and Mateer are kind of these athlete quarterbacks. Mm-hmm. And Mensah, as we'll have the Mensah conversation, is really more trying to play a game of precision and smarts rather than beat you physically.
Totally. Let's reveal my 7 to 12, because there's some overlap here, and there's a couple of players that I don't have on my list that I'm curious if you have on your list that I wanted to mention. So at number 7, I've got Julian Sayin from Ohio State. 8, LaNorris Sellers, so we're pretty even on Sellers. You have him at 7, I have him at 8. I have Sam Leavitt at 9. You have him at 11. I have CJ Carr at 10, and I watched a couple more games of CJ Carr not long ago, a couple of days ago. There's certainly argument for him to be a little bit higher on this list. It really is just, it comes down to, hey, 1 year sample size from him. Right. There's a lot of good that he does. There's things that I want to see better. So it's kind of hard, because it's like, all right, well, sure, I could just sit here and project that he's going to get way better and take that next step. But does he? I'm always a little bit more skeptical on doing that nowadays. But I do like CJ Carr a decent amount. I have him at number 10, John Mateer at 11, and then Josh Hoover at number 12. You brought up this name, so I'm very curious. Where is Drake Lindsey for you?
Drake Lindsey did not make my top 12.
Drake Lindsey did not make my top 12 either. So Drake Lindsey is the quarterback for Minnesota, and I know I'm putting the chef in a tough spot because he doesn't have a slide for him. You don't need to have a slide for him. But
look at him on the move.
But look at this. So this is the consensus. I think it's from Mock Draft Database.
Oh wow, I've not looked at this yet on purpose, but this is the time to.
Drake Lindsey's 43.
Wow.
He's and like I've seen people talk about Drake Lindsey as a like number 1 overall pick type of a like top 10 type of quarterback. I did not see that at all from him. I'm going to be honest with you. I felt like he's got the size. He's 6'5", 230. But to me, he doesn't have like this howitzer of an arm. He has a good arm, but he doesn't have this howitzer of an arm that you would expect from a player who's 6'5", 230. The lower body, when it comes to like mechanics, are all over the place for him. I feel like his throwing mechanics are also really inconsistent. There are just throws that he should not miss, that he misses too often, far too often. I think that the middle of the field throws, the ones that you kind of practice a lot, he's got a decent amount of muscle memory to that. But the short throws, the touch throws, the deep throws, like, man, I felt like he really struggled. And he is not mobile at all whatsoever.
At all, dude.
At all whatsoever.
Yeah.
So to me, after I had my ranking and then I kind of went and looked at consensus, that was the one that really, really stood out to me. I think CJ Bailey has a long way to go as well. He did not make my top 12. But yeah, I was very curious where you were going to have Drake Lindsey because of all of the hype that I had heard around him. But yeah, he did not make my top 12. I think he is far too erratic right now.
I'm with you. I could feel the hype, like when you're just kind of, you follow enough people in the draft industry and you see people, it's like, okay, enough people are tweeting about this guy and I got to watch him, and Lindsey's only a redshirt sophomore. Watching him, to me, I was just like, he's not even close. And if he has a great year and declares and go in the first round, like, I will tip my cap, because there's plenty of times where I thought a quarterback was far away and they play themselves into the NFL and, it just surprises you. I watched him and just thought, Trevor, two things that kind of linked together. One, you brought up, he's just not a threat to run. He's not nimble. He's not fluid moving the pocket. So then that brings me to number 2. When he can't evade pressure, and he struggles to evade pressure often, his process becomes rushed and he just makes horrible decisions. And listen, he's a really young quarterback. Like that, he can grow out of that, and I think he will. But he just hasn't right now. As you're looking at a guy that's a redshirt sophomore, big. I do like the arm. And I thought the process got better towards the end of the year. I thought there was a couple games during the regular season down the stretch where I was like, okay, the process is speeding up a little bit. But yeah, and I would keep in mind with consensus right now, there's probably not a lot of people that have done rankings to this depth.
No, there's not. But I even saw some. I try to avoid it as much as I can before we do the episodes. But I even saw people talking about him on Twitter and Instagram and everything.
People are excited about him.
He unfortunately reminds me of just these big quarterbacks that are way too inconsistent. And I just feel like people are falling for that again with him. Now, like you said, he was a young quarterback. He could take a massive step up this next year. And if he does, I'm with you. Tip my hat to him, and we'll talk about him as a top quarterback. But I think he's a far way away from becoming that.
Yeah, and I see Chase in the chat goes, it's not a quarterback's job to run. Listen, I get it, but you're not listening to the point. It's not his job to run. But if you can't run, and then when you're dealing with pressure and you're not mentally equipped, your process is fast enough to work through that, that's a growing pain. And he can grow through that. But right now he hasn't been able to as a really young quarterback. That's the point.
It's not a quarterback's job specifically to run, but it is a quarterback's job to facilitate and make plays.
There you go.
So if you can't run, if you can't extend plays, if you can't avoid sacks, you better be getting the ball out of your hands really quick. And in the underneath stuff and in the quick game, I thought he was, again, really inconsistent. I thought the footwork was a mess. I thought the release of his was a mess. I thought when he tried to put touch on passes that were either short, he was better, I feel like, at some of the middle of the field throws, like the intermediate throws, because you just practice those a lot, right? Like when you're just throwing to a wide receiver, where are they normally standing? Probably somewhere like 15, 20 yards down the field. You just throw that a lot. So you got a lot of muscle memory with that. It's those quick under pressure throws underneath. Okay, like I need to know exactly how to layer this football. Do I need to put air onto it? Do I need to get it out quick? Do I need to sidearm it? Something like that. I felt like you struggled to be able to do that. So yes, it's not a quarterback's job to run. It is a quarterback's job to make plays. And what we're here to do is to judge how well we think they could make plays. Sometimes that's in structure, but sometimes it's not. And when it's not, you got to be able to get the ball out consistently to be able to do that at the NFL level. So let's go back to the rankings. We had a couple of quarterbacks that I think overlapped here. I think we should start with Well, you want to talk about Sellers? We've talked about Sellers quite a bit, and so I think this one could be a little bit shorter because we introed him in last year's summer scouting, I believe. But LaNorris Sellers, the quarterback for South Carolina, he's a redshirt junior going into this season. The fact of the matter is, about as physically gifted as they come, right? 6'3.5", 245 pounds. I mean, this dude, you want to talk about people who have arm talent. This dude has a cannon of an arm, and he is a great deep ball thrower. I mean, when it comes to him uncorking it 40, 50, even 60 yards down the field, this dude can absolutely do it, and he can put it right on his receivers. He has some very, very impressive deep throws. But it's the underneath stuff that has been really inconsistent from him. Dealing with pressure, which South Carolina's offensive line has not been great.
Oh boy.
But it's given him some, I guess, bad processes, and it's just been a bad environment for him to try to get better. I do think that he was better in 2020.
Me too.
Than he was, 2024, because a lot of the critiques that you and I had of LaNorris Sellers going into the season last year, they're still there, but I think they're a little bit better, and I think his strengths shined a little bit brighter in 2025. So it did get better for him, but to me, it was the same story of just too inconsistent with where the ball went, how he dealt with pressure, how he navigated the pocket. I mean, he avoids sacks as well as I've seen anybody because of how strong he is physically. But he's got to be able to do the easy things. You've got to be able to make the layups a lot easier and a lot more consistently than what we've seen from Sellers, even in 2025.
I liked him more than I thought I would, and I say that as someone that did not like him at all last summer. I mean, when people were like, this guy could be the next first-round Toolsy quarterback last summer, and then I turned on the film, that just did him a disservice because I was so wildly disappointed. I was like, this guy is not, a pro quarterback in terms of down-by-down consistency at all. Now, like you said, Trevor, the moments are, wow, can he throw the ball? He can run through tacklers. I know he's just going to get the constant Anthony Richardson stuff.
Yeah.
He's now played more college ball and is going to play more college ball. And I think
Richardson
is progressing better than him as a passer. Where I was pleasantly surprised what he did last year without much help at all. Now, he's still 7th for me. The sack rate, yes, the offensive line was bad, but we're talking about a player that had an 11th percentile sack rate in 2024 and then a 2nd percentile sack rate last year. Like, he has now taken 71 sacks over the last 2 years.
I guess I should have clarified.
No, I know what you meant, though.
When players are trying to tackle him, his ability to break tackles and get out of tackles is unreal. But the sack,
and he has to with their line.
Taking the sacks, you're right. Yeah. It's been a problem for him over the last 2 seasons.
Yeah,
yes.
So that's a huge, and that goes back to the process overall. And you look at how the completion percentage drops, when it pressured at all. He just is a player that I feel like still doesn't have a feel for his checkdowns and his outlets when there's trouble. He needs to protect the ball as a runner because he is a pretty gifted, powerful runner. But yeah, very tools up player that did make some strides last year, but not the strides people were hoping for. And I'm rooting for him this year because I think he was in a bad situation last year. And I would really like to see him kind of kill the narrative that it's just Anthony Richardson all over again. But, today he's not a first-round quarterback.
Yeah, and I mean, Anthony Richardson goes in the top 10, right? And I mean, he had less experience, and he basically had the same type of tape that LaNorris Sellers did. And you could even argue that, like, Sellers has better tape, and I think that I would argue that. And yet Richardson still went top 10. So we can say all this stuff that we want about LaNorris Sellers. But if he... From 2024, we said that he took a step up in 2025. There were moments where it was better for him in 2025. If he takes like the same step forward, even like that little bit of amount, there is a chance that, I think if he takes a little bit of a step up, I almost think it's going to be a lock for him to go in the first round. And then it's just a matter of, does he go in the top 10? So we can sit here and we can talk about how well we actually think he is going to play at the NFL level. But a lot of these teams who are the ones who are actually investing in the player, he's so gifted, I would just have a very hard time thinking that he's not going to be a first-round quarterback.
Yep. I would probably agree, knowing how teams get at the end of round one with somebody. And like you said, he has to take a step forward. This version of him will not go in the first round, but it's there for him to at least take one step forward.
Yep. Okay, so let's talk John Mateer and Sam Leavitt. I think we could talk about those two guys because both of them are a little bit smaller of prospects. They're right around 6'1", 6'1 and a half, right around like 210, 215, right? I mean, I think that's sort of how these guys are built. The chef's got Mateer's graphic up, so we can hit Mateer really quickly first. Mateer's going to be a redshirt senior. Sam Leavitt's going to be a redshirt junior, but Mateer was a former 3-star quarterback, started his career at Washington State. Now, I guess this is important. I should have mentioned this. He was also a right-handed pitcher and a shortstop in high school. So he played a lot of baseball, and I think that you could see that in the style in which he plays quarterback. There's sort of that baseball release and how he wants to get rid of the ball and sort of just like how he is when the ball is in his hands. He moves like a really good and natural athlete because of the dual sport background that he has. Redshirted when he was at Washington State. He was Cam Ward's backup in 2023. He started every game in 2024. Then he transferred to Oklahoma. Started 12 games for Oklahoma last year. He had that thumb hand injury that I don't know about derailed his season, but it complicated his season, I guess I would say. I think that Mateer's got a lot of moxie to his game. He is a gamer type of a player. He's the kind of quarterback when it's going good, you feel really good about him. It's a little bit of that Baker Mayfield vibe. Now, I think Mayfield's got a much stronger arm than Mateer is, so I'm not going to say that that's his comp. But to me, he does have that Baker Mayfield vibe to him where you're just waiting for him to make these big plays, and he'll hold on to the football a little bit longer. He'll avoid some pressure in the pocket. He'll be rolling outside, and you can't take your eyes off him. You're like, what's this guy going to do next? But I think he's really good when it comes to the quickness of his game, how quickly his feet move, how quickly the ball gets out of his hand, all like some processing stuff. I feel like he's very, very quick with how he operates. But when you really have to push the ball deep down the field, he's got to put his whole body into throws. And I think that the arm talent is just below average for the NFL level. And it's hard for me to bet on players that are smaller in size and then also I don't believe have above average arm talent. It's tough in that regard. So there are some fun things about how he plays, that escapability, that ability to extend plays, how he operates outside of the pocket. I think that those things are fun and you want to believe in him, but it's a lot of the throws that you need to attempt in the NFL, the really tight window throws, the middle of the field throws, being able to threaten deep down the field and really make sure that the safeties are honest. He's got to put everything that he's got into some of those throws, and then even then it's kind of sometimes not enough. So I just think that this is a physically limited player, albeit a fun one.
He is. He's a fun college player. When you watch him, there are things with him, whether it's the arm angles, times that he could whip the ball sidearm, the way he can move. You look at before he got hurt in 2025, weeks 1 to 4, the production as a runner and a passer catches your attention right away. He's twitchy as an escape artist, and then he can go into open field run mode, and it's like he's not done. He didn't just escape to throw. He can run and make you miss and beat you with his legs. And, you know, you want to get the full John Mateer experience. If you want to watch some of the prospects we talk about on this show, just watch the LSU game last year. That was I believe the last regular season game. Yeah. So, man, he throws 3 picks. He makes some big balls throws. Like, it's the full John Mateer.
Yeah.
We always joke about the Michael Vick experience.
Yeah.
Commercial.
The John Mateer experience.
Mateer is like, you might get stuck up there on the roller coaster at some point, and they got to get you down. But boys, the highs are going to be a lot of fun. It's pretty crazy. But you're right, Trevor. The only thing that I don't know if I disagree with you on, but I think I see a little differently. I think he has a strong enough arm. I think he is so messy mechanically that it looks bad a lot. Like
But
there are just
but that's how he's going to be.
yeah, no, you're right. It's
It's not a whole body
it's not an
into
excuse.
throws.
It's not an excuse. That's why he's QB12 for me. He plays like a trick shot quarterback. And it's like, dude, you can't make that throw like dude perfect.
Dude perfect quarterback. Yeah.
Dude perfect quarterback. You got to make that throw with your base. And it's maddening because the highs with him are like, they get you excited and it's fun at the college level.
Yeah.
And, he is a shorter quarterback. He's about 6 feet tall and a half inch. He's up to 220 now, so he's filled out his frame for sure. Mm-hmm. A lot of it is that one read and run. I think when he has to play in structure, like the last 8 games of last year, and that's when he came back early from the injury, which is really, really tough.
Yeah, he had hand surgery and he came back like 17 days
early.
later.
Yes.
Kind of crazy.
He had 16 turnover-worthy plays in those 8 games after coming back.
Yeah.
Like part of that is he wasn't healthy, and part of that is he could get reckless. So I'm excited to watch him this year, but he's got to throw a changeup more often and just try to play with a little bit more poise, I would say.
Yeah, and you know what my we'll get to Sam Leavitt in a second, but like my last point about Mateer here is I think, to continue the baseball analogy, I think he just wants to throw the fastball every time. Yep. And when I watch him, like everything was it was a fastball. It was as on a rope as it possibly could be. And you have to do that. Obviously, you have to do that. But it's really important to have a changeup in your bag. You have to be able to layer throws and float throws and have touch passes. And for a player like Mateer, who doesn't have a howitzer of an arm, he throws fastball all the time. Yep. And there are plenty of throws that I feel like I watched from him in 2025 where he's trying to fit it in between 2 defenders, but he's trying to do it on like a frozen rope. And it's like, man, if you would have put a little bit of air, if you would have popped past that, it would have went straight to the receiver who was in between where those zones were. So to me, he's got to have that changeup that he could go to. There's got to be a world where he can fit a little bit more air under these passes. Not everything has to be this rifle, and I felt like that's the type of quarterback that he wanted to play last year. I wonder how much the hand and the pressing, maybe mentally, even went into that. But we'll see. We'll see with John Mateer. But right now, I think that he's firmly a day 3 quarterback type of a player. Sam Leavitt, he was at Arizona State. Now he's at LSU. If people remember summer scouting from last year, I was a huge Sam Leavitt fan. I think that even though he's built a little bit smaller, 6'1.5", 215, the preferred walk-on guys, I was texting them about Sam Leavitt, and I think it was Dalton who said, like, he's Zach Wilson. And I'm like, oh my God, he's Zach Wilson. He is a smaller quarterback, but has a much better arm than you would expect from a player who's a little bit smaller. Both of them had that escapability and athleticism to them, but both of them were really erratic in how they got rid of the football. And whenever the competition was really ramping up, they didn't really play well against it. They put the ball in harm's way. So many turnover-worthy plays for Sam Leavitt last year. Just did not respect the defense nearly as much as he needed to. And the throwing motion can sometimes be a mess. The footwork can sometimes be a mess. And it really is like this guy just watches Johnny Manziel highlights before every single game and he goes, hell yeah, brother. Because I think
I'm going to do that.
I think he is really physically gifted, especially for his size. I think Sam Leavitt has one of the better arms in this class. There are players who have more weight and more height than he does that we're going to talk about. That Sam Leavitt's got a cannon. And I think that he's got all the physical ability to be able to play at the NFL level, but it is just far too erratic. And he goes big game hunting, as Nate Tice will often say, far too much. You need to be able to attempt the difficult and deep throws. There's no doubt about it. You have to attempt those and complete those throws at the NFL level to win football games. So he's not afraid of those throws, but I fear that he seeks them out too often. So there are just too many inconsistencies with Sam Leavitt for me to put him in my top 10 again this year.
Yeah, I think we see him, pretty much the same way. I wish I wrote down what game it was, but I did write down in my notes because his throws while scrambling to his right are just wild. There was one last year.
He loves to do it.
He loves to do it where he threw the ball 65 yards in the air and put the ball right on the wide receiver whilst rolling to his right. Now, doesn't look the same throwing to his left. It does not. short and intermediate. But rolling to his right.
Well, when he goes to the left, he forgets the Johnny Manziel highlights. He just goes straight to Derek Jeter highlights. He just does the jump and the full body. Like that's what he's trying to do.
I can't, in good faith, just do a whole thing how Mateer is a dude perfect quarterback and then overlook Sam Leavitt being a smaller quarterback that plays like a small quarterback. Backwards drifter.
Yes.
7% sack rate in 2025. He played 7 games and he took 20 sacks. That's 21st percentile. Like, it's just a small quarterback that plays like a small quarterback with John Elway throws mixed in like every now and then where you're like, what the hell was that? But and the other problem is, too, there's a lot of times where he put his pass catchers in really dangerous situations playing like that. And so I'm curious because LSU usually has great athletes. I'm curious to see what that looks like this year. If he could be healthy, he had the Liz Frank that basically ended his season last year. I think in all seriousness, he needs to work on a cleaner catch and run ball in the dump off game and the screen game. So if he can clean up some of those things, he will be a better college quarterback. But like last year, I still have serious reservations.
He plays college football the way that you all out there play Madden. Like that's how he play. Like you said, drifting in the pocket, crazy extension throws, like running to your left and right, getting out of the pocket, not caring at all if the defense absolutely breaks the spine in half of your wide receiver. You're getting that first down and we're subbing somebody else into the game. Like there are plays like that with Sam Leavitt, but he's got so much talent. He was a Gatorade Football Player of the Year in Oregon when he was a senior in high school. His dad played a little bit in the NFL. Like he has the talent.
An NFL safety.
Oh, was his brother safety?
Yeah.
Oh no, you're right. It was his brother who played a little bit in the NFL, not his dad. Yeah. But it's hard for me to quit Sam Leavitt totally. But at this point in time, I gotta see a lot more consistency. So we'll see if he gets that with Lane at LSU this year. All right, what do we have left in this group? Okay, so Darian Mensah and Jayden Maiava I have in my 1 through 6.
And I have Carr in mine.
Do you have Sayin in yours at all, or did Sayin not make your
and
top
I have
12?
Sayin in mine.
Okay.
Yeah, no, we'll wait on that one a little bit. No, we'll wait on that one. I want to hear you talk about Hoover.
Okay,
because
sure.
I talked about my small quarterback in this tier, and Damon Williams, and then you have your own in this tier, and Josh Hoover.
Yeah, Josh Hoover, who is now the quarterback in Indiana. He was at TCU, I think the entire time. He redshirted in 2022, 6 starts in 2023, 13 starts in 2024, 12 starts last year in 2025, all for TCU. He was a 4-star quarterback, played high school football in Texas. Oh, I forgot. He was initially actually committed to Indiana when he was in high school, but he flipped to TCU. So now he's back in Indiana, or committed to Indiana, I should say, for his final year of college football eligibility. He was also a pitcher in high school, so you can see a little bit of the baseball background and how he plays the position. What's Indiana got him listed at? Can you look this up really quick?
Yeah, I will.
Because I saw, what was he officially?
6'2", 200, and I promise you he is not.
Yeah. So Ryan Roberts at Rise and Draft on Twitter does a great job covering the NFL draft as well. He was tweeting out some official measurements that we get kind of like behind the scenes, and he pointed out the fact that Indiana not exactly telling the truth with Josh Hoover's height. He is shorter than 6 feet. He is right around 200 pounds, and that would put him basically at like first or second percentile in both height and weight. So he is a smaller quarterback. There's no doubt about it. I think that Hoover, when I was watching his tape from TCU, first of all, my first real exposure to him was watching him live in that UNC game that opened the season last year.
Yeah.
He was great. He was fantastic. So I sort of went into his tape and went into my thoughts on him like on a very good note. Really compact throwing motion. It's a smooth yet snappy sort of flick of the wrist release. So I think that he gets the ball out very quickly. I think he's a nice touch passer. We talk about touch being an emphasis. I'll continue to say that word more and more as I talk about the quarterbacks within my top 5. He can hit those in the bucket throws 20, 30 yards down the field. He's got that natural athleticism to him from the multi-sport background when he played baseball. I think that when it comes to the timing routes as well and a little bit more of the quick game, he's pretty good at that. When the first read is open, he knows how to hit those wide receivers in rhythm very quickly once the ball gets into his hand. Really small for the NFL level. I think the arm talent's below average. That's why I got him sort of as a fringe top 12 quarterback here. I don't think that he's got like this huge arm. I think the lower measurables go into the overall arm talent that he has. The sidearm release from him that he'll sometimes go to, it gets the ball out quick. There's no doubt about it, but it takes a little bit of velocity and power away from how he's getting the ball out of his hands. I think that when you watch a smaller quarterback, I'm always curious, do they put more of their body into passes? And Hoover is one of those players. And I think the way that he does that is he opens up. So you know how like a lot of people talk about, hey, point your shoulders to your target as a quarterback. You got the ball here. You're going to follow through. You're going to kind of come across the body. Tom Brady always say, when you're throwing the ball, put the thumb in your front pocket. That's sort of how you're supposed to sort of finish your motion. And you've obviously got that torque with your core. Hoover, instead of being sort of square to his target, which everybody's a little bit different. I'm not a stickler for you got to do it exactly this way. But Hoover very much has an open stance. His hips are very open. So the reason why he does that is because he is smaller and he's got to put a little bit more of his body, a little bit more motion into it. So it's not as snappy and it's not as powerful with his core, which when you open up your feet and when you open up your hips, it can just lead to some inaccuracies, especially when you have a little bit more of a sidearm release like he likes to go to as well. So that's sort of a fundamental thing that, again, when I'm watching smaller quarterbacks, you sort of watch for these tells of how do you put a little bit more of your body into throws? And do you do so in a way where all of a sudden I kind of have to think, well, how repeatable is this? Is it going to affect your accuracy? Is it going to affect, more importantly, your ball placement? And Hoover is a nice natural passer. Like I said, basically anything between 30, 40 yards in, I think that he can deliver the football pretty well. But it's one of those things in his motion that I noticed with him about how he kind of overcomes those smaller measurables. And I think he's just got he doesn't have the get out of trouble physical traits, right? Whether that is his speed, whether that is his overall arm talent of being able to release it late and really zip throws in there. So this is somebody who I think could play at the NFL level, but given the lack of physical gifts and the lack of physical stature, I think that it's much more of just a, mid to late day 3 kind of a backup quarterback projection for Hoover right now.
He should have a monster year, though, production-wise, throwing in one of the best receiver duos in the country in that offense. Like, he chose correctly on where to go to maximize what he has.
All right. Who do you want to talk about next?
I think we covered a lot of this group until we blend over to our next group of rankings. All right. How far up do you have Maiava?
Maiava actually is 6, I think.
So it'd be Maiava we talk about next.
Wait, hold on.
You sold that like Maiava was going to be number 2.
I thought you said Mensah. Said Mensah, which was the big smile for me. I have Jayden Maiava actually at 5. I have Jayden Maiava at 5. So we can talk about Jayden
Maiava. We should talk about Maiava.
Okay, let's talk about Maiava quick before we release these 1 through 6s. Jayden Maiava, thoughts? I feel like I just talked a bunch about Hoover. What do you think about Jayden Maiava?
I thought, because I watched him for last year's draft, thinking he could easily declare and go at the end of round 1 with how weak last year's class was and some of the things he showed last year. He's someone to me that, like, having LaNorris Sellers over him is a complete ceiling play. Jayden Maiava is a better quarterback today. Where if some of these guys don't tap into their ceiling that are in front of him, he could be the 4th or 5th quarterback taken in this draft easily. What I like about Jayden Maiava, besides the fact that he's a legit 6'4", 218 pounds, is that he throws one of the most catchable balls in the entire class.
Yes.
Over and over again.
Yes, he does.
It's like that's the thing that I think people undervalue a lot when just watching college football in the moment, is that having this level of touch, I wrote down he has just mastered the 9-iron. Like, when you watch his 9-iron throws, it is just perfect over and over again, and it looks the same over and over again, and he doesn't have to do all this crazy shit to get from point A to B. It's just a nice-looking, consistent, in-rhythm kind of catchable ball. The second thing And if you do these two things well, you have a shot to be a damn good quarterback. After throwing such a catchable ball, he doesn't take sacks.
Yep.
He had a 2.6% sack rate last year. That's 93rd percentile.
Yep.
So he throws a great ball, and he doesn't take sacks. That's a big part of playing quarterback at the NFL level. And
Yes,
you're hearing me say all these things. You're like, Connor, why do you have him at 8? Because summer scouting is summer scouting is a lot.
Fraud?
Yeah, this is fraudulent. Summer scouting is a lot different than finalized scouting, where you do lean into projections more and more. And more often than not, those projections don't go the way you hope. Where Maiava has put his floor in a certain place that he can do really, really well for himself. And the accuracy to me is effortless. I think he throws the ball and layers the ball into space as well as anyone in this class. I think when you watch his 3rd and 4th downs last year, like watch the Illinois game, the 3rd and 4th down conversions were really, really impressive. He's not a creative runner. He could pick up extra yards with his legs. The Nebraska game, he kept doing that to them over and over again. And now this year is going to be his 3rd full season as a college starter across 2 different programs. He's not very quick or twitchy in and out of the pocket. I think he's more of a loft thrower than a power arm. And when you watch him throw the ball down the field, I thought defenders had a better chance to make a play on the ball than your typical power arm quarterbacks. When he got pressured last year, once again, he did a great job not taking sacks. When he was pressured, his quarterback rating dropped down to 51.2, and he had 21 turnover-worthy plays in 2025. That's a big number. So he's still, for the fact that he doesn't take sacks and he throws a really pretty ball, he makes a lot of mistakes. And he's got to clean up some of those mistakes, where I think the 10 interceptions are a lie. Like, I think the 21 turnover-worthy plays are a much bigger indicator of the level of mistakes that he's making right now. But my final line I wrote is he's a big quarterback prospect that plays more like a controlled, accurate touch passer rather than a power thrower and runner.
I like Maiava. Obviously, with me having him number 5 heading into the season, I'm a sucker for somebody who really knows how to put some good touch and ball placement on the football, and Maiava does that a lot. That's basically everywhere in his tape. It's his journey is really interesting. Well, I should say, first and foremost, you guys can see it on the screen, but 6'4", 225 pounds, is 75th percentile, 64th percentile. So we got an NFL quarterback when it comes to overall build here. He's a 3-star quarterback in the 2022 recruiting class. He's from Honolulu, Hawaii, but he played his first year of high school football in Las Vegas. And then he played his sophomore year of high school in Hawaii. And then I think as a senior, he played in Henderson, Nevada. So he was all over the place when it came to his high school football journey. Committed to UNLV, redshirted his first year in 2022, started all 14 games in 2023. He was the Mountain West freshman of the year. He's a redshirt freshman. They're still counted as a freshman. Transfers to USC, starts 4 games in 2024. So last year was his first time as a full-time starter for USC. So I do agree that I have him at 5. I don't know if I'll get to a world where I'll have him higher at 5. I feel like I believe in Maiava as much as I'm going to believe in Maiava, because I think that he is going to get better. But you're right. There are some things that are just a little bit of drawbacks for him. Sometimes when you watch these guys who are great touch passers, you have to look at it through both an optimistic and pessimistic view, right? You could say like, ooh, I love how they're layering the football there. That's really good touch. I love how they're seeing the field. I love how they're delivering things. The timing is great, even with putting a little bit of extra air onto the football. But then you say to yourself, are you doing that because you have to? Like, are you doing that because you can't fire it in there? Now, I think that Maiava has a good and adequate NFL arm, but I think there are moments to going to what you said where he gives defenders more of a chance to break on the football because he is much more of a touch passer first. So it looks good. He can complete some really nice throws. He gets the ball out quick. I think he sees the game pre-snap pretty well. That leads to the lower sack rate, especially because I think he's an okay athlete. There are times when the feet get really heavy for him. There are times when he's just in the pocket and like he just kind of stops right before he's about to throw it. And I need him to stay a little bit more on the balls of his feet just to make sure that, you know, when the NFL game speed is ramped up, he's able to make the most of it and escape a little bit at least, because he does have some escapability to him. It's not, you know, crazy. I wouldn't call him a dual threat quarterback. He's absolutely a pocket quarterback. But the soft touch, the feel, the good ball placement from him. I love all of that. I think he throws a very tight and controlled spiral. I think that 6'4" frame should lend itself to some a big hand size measurement when we get to the combine for him, or at least he certainly plays like it. It doesn't feel like there's a lot of inconsistencies with how the ball is traveling down the field. I think he can make some really clutch throws as well. You talked about that a little bit. Under pressure, okay, it goes down a little bit just because he doesn't have the most escapability, or he's not really used to throwing on the run. That's just not his game. But I do think that the sack avoidance was really good for him. And I think that when it comes to making some clutch throws under pressure, he has shown the ability to do that as well. So this is a player that I really like, a high floor player, a little bit lower of a ceiling. Like I said, I don't know how much higher I will rank him than 5, if ever, when we get to the end of this process. But he is a player whose style of quarterbacking I do like, and I think can really stick around in the league.
He kind of plays like Mac Jones.
Yeah, a little. You know what the first came to my mind with Maiava? He plays like Josh Rosen was supposed to.
Like Rosen had some real power on that arm, though. I don't know. I thought that Rosen had a good arm. Good, yeah.
But that's kind of like where I'm at with Maiava. I think Maiava's got a good arm. You know, Rosen's might have been a little bit stronger, but he reminds me of just like the way there was a lot of touch in what he wanted to do, how he operated from the pocket. They were built very similarly. They had a little bit of athleticism, but they weren't like these dual threat type of quarterbacks. And obviously the problem with Rosen is Rosen couldn't get figured out with the NFL speed. You know, when the game started ramping up and when defenses started changing pre and post snap, Rosen just couldn't figure it out. So that was a kiss of death for him in his career. But the overall physical talent and kind of like how he delivers the football reminds me a lot of what I liked from Rosen when he was at UCLA.
All right, Jayden Maiava.
There it is.
The last quarterback we discussed. Well, we have some weird crossover now. Are we gonna go one by one here or the whole group?
I think we go the whole group here. So we're gonna freak out about this in a second.
Freak about this.
We're gonna freak it. We're gonna try to. I was about to say something. I can't do it. What I'm actually gonna say is, folks, if this is your first time around summer scouting, first time around the NFL Stock Exchange, and you're not subscribed to the program, we would love for you to be a part of the Addicts. We're going to go through every single position that we possibly can throughout the next couple of months before college football and NFL season gets kicked off, and we're going to get you ready as much as we possibly can. So if you guys have seen anything that we've done before, or if this is your first time watching an NFL Stock Exchange show and you have enjoyed it, we would love for you to be subscribed. It's a free and easy way to support what we're doing here on the show, and we promise we will have you as ready as humanly possible for the 2027 NFL Draft when the NFL season and college football season get kicked off. All right. 1 through 6.
Here we go, folks. No going back now. Press the button.
Who do you have?
There it is.
Whoa, you got CJ Carr at 2. The belief. The belief. Yep. The belief in the young man. Whew. All right, so
where do we go from here?
So you got Arch Manning at number 1.
Yeah, we're doing it again.
CJ Carr from
worked so good last year,
and I'll do it again. You got CJ Carr from Notre Dame at number 2. Dante Moore from Oregon at number 3. Drew Mestemaker from Oklahoma State now. Previously North Texas at number 4. Julian Sayin from Ohio State you have at 5, and then Trinidad Chambliss from Ole Miss you have at number 6. Let's reveal my 1 to 6, and then we'll get into it. My 1 through 6, because Arch Manning worked so well as a unanimous number 1 for us last year. We'll do it again. I got Arch Manning from Texas at number 1 here. I got Dante Moore from Oregon at number 2. Darian Mensah, who is at Duke, now at Miami, I have at number 3. Trinidad Chambliss from Ole Miss, I have at number 4. I mentioned Jayden Maiava, I have at number 5. And then Drew Mestemaker from Oklahoma State, now I have at number 6.
I'm thoroughly enjoying that everybody went nuts when you had CJ Carr at 10, and everyone is going nuts.
And now everybody's going nuts that you got him at 2.
So if you don't have him at 6, you're just a loser.
That's no, but this is our R. Mason Thomas of this year. Where I had R. Mason Thomas as my number 2 edge rusher. You had him unranked, dishonorable mention on the edge rusher program.
I had him 14th.
And then what did we like? We ended up with him both at like 7 or 8,
right in the middle,
like that.
Dead smack in the middle.
So that's what CJ Carr is going to be. Dude, honestly, I would love to hear you talk about CJ Carr. I think we should start there with CJ Carr. You got him at number 2. I think a lot of funny enough, I think a lot of the things that you're going to say about CJ Carr from Notre Dame, I'm going to agree with you on. I kind of viewed him maybe through a more wait and see type of a lens. Like, I'm excited to watch CJ Carr. There are a lot of things that I'm looking forward to watching him do as a full-time starter for the second year in a row here at Notre Dame. But to me, maybe it was just more of a, like, I was like, yeah, okay, like, I think right. CJ Carr is, like, definitely an NFL quarterback. But, yeah, I'll let you talk about him because obviously you got him at number 2.
Well, this goes back to the projecting part of summer scouting when you're talking about a redshirt sophomore quarterback coming off a big redshirt freshman year. Mm-hmm. And I think that going back to my, like, tiering system, I feel like on this show is pretty important when I said Damon Williams, Darian Mensah, Sam Leavitt, and John Mateer would kind of be in a group together for me. I'd have my top 4 almost in a group with Arch, Carr, Dante Moore, and Mestemaker. I don't think there's some wild gap breaking away with those guys right now. And I don't think Sayin is in that group, even though I have him at 5. Mm-hmm. Like, I think he's on the outside looking in a different tier. Let's just get right into it with Carr. So Carr, to me, is a low-effort thrower. And the timing...
Damn, you just called him lazy. You called him a bum.
Yep, and puts just no effort into it.
You said get your work ethic up.
I mean, for his age, the timing and accuracy is in a really, really good place for a quarterback this young. I thought, going back to the Maiava conversation, he also has that natural touch to just loft throws over linebackers, but right in the bucket away from, over the top coverage. I think the arm strength, because we're talking about the touch, but getting back to more of the power stuff, he can hit that intermediate out route from the opposite hash. Like, turn on the NC State game last year, and you get to see him asked to do that and successfully do that, where I'm looking at it and going, okay, one more year, getting bigger and stronger. He's going to be able to make all the pro throws that's going to be asked of him. I like, going back to where he's at for his age, he climbs the pocket rather than drifts out of it. There's a lot of times where he steps up through the pocket, works up into the pocket. He's not drifting backwards all the time. 2.5% sack rate last year, 94th percentile. I think Notre Dame did a really, really good job keeping him upright, but I also think he did a really good job for a young quarterback not taking sacks. And when you look at this offense, this drop back passing offense, there's plenty of times where he's asked to not only go through full field reads, but challenge at all 3 levels of the field. Just turned 21 years old at the end of May. Now you get into some of the stuff that could limit him from being, a elite, high-end, top 10 kind of pick, right? I think the scrambling and playmaking speed is below average, right? It's not unusable, but it's below average of where we're at in today's NFL. I think that when he has to drive, like, short in-breaking routes, that's when the accuracy starts to win. Like, he really tried to throw it 100 miles, like a slant. Yeah. There's times where he tries to throw a slant 200 miles an hour, and it's like, you didn't need to do that. And then he loses that great timing and accuracy that he had.
He's young.
And right. And that's where you look at it and go, this is a really young player playing on a big stage. He will stare down targets a second too long. I think he struggled when pressured, which wasn't too often with how good I thought they did keeping him upright last year, because he was only pressured on 85 dropbacks. But you look at those 85 dropbacks, he had a quarterback rating that was right below 60. So that went down a lot. So this is someone, to me, like, you look at some of the higher end pocket passing stuff that's going to be asked of a prospect. He's already doing it at an age where it's impressive to me. It's impressive to me. And that's why I put him in that group with Dante Moore right now. And he's going to have to continue on the trajectory he's on, but I think he's going to do that this year at Notre Dame.
I think there are a lot of things that he did well last year, especially from a physical perspective. I mean, you mentioned it at almost 6'3", 215 pounds. I mean, he stands tall in the pocket. He can avoid sacks. He's got a strong wide base to conjure a good amount of pace and velocity on his throws when it comes to the shorter and intermediate throws. He knows how to get the right distance when it comes to those deep throws as well. I like his fundamentals. He's got that full high release type of a type of a throwing motion to him, which isn't the best for everybody, but man, when it can work, man, it looks good. And I think that it does look good for CJ Carr. I think that you mentioned it, like some of the easy throws he'll miss. He's got a little bit of panic in him just because he hasn't played a lot of college football. So this year could be a big step up for him in that regard. I've noticed that Notre Dame will ask him, actually, I don't know like what the rate of this was, but I feel like it wasn't a ton. But they'll ask him to get under center every now and then to like operate play action from under center. And when he does, he'll like he wants to turn around as fast as humanly possible. Like because when you talk about like being able to play under center, especially for the play action game, something that you need to do as a quarterback is you need to be very comfortable with what you are seeing pre-snap, because when you snap the ball and when you turn, your back is to the field, right? So you are trying to sell the play action, you are trying to sell the handoff, and to do so, your back is facing the defense. So for the first second and a half, 2 seconds of the play, you can't see what the defense is doing. So when you are operating under play action and when you take the ball back and then you turn and look up the field, you can't be super confused. Like, you have to be able to understand, like, okay, this is what I'm seeing pre-snap. This is what they might rotate to. And you got to be able to operate that with confidence. That's sort of when we talk about, like, the value of being able to play under center and get under center, especially for, like, the run game and the play action game. That's a big part of what the quarterback is asked to do. And a lot of times, in the college game and some in the NFL as well, you get a lot of this like RPO and play action game from the shotgun. It's because just think about it. When you snap the ball and it goes right to you, if the running back is right next to you, all you have to do is put the football out and the running back is there, right? And you're faking it, but you don't have to look at the running back while you do that. He's standing right next to you. You can still look deep down the field. You can still look at the defense and everything that they're doing. So you can snap the ball and you can operate play action without taking your eyes off of the defense. So there's no turning your back. There's nothing like that. I didn't even really think I was going to go into that tangent. It's just like sort of a note when you're watching quarterbacks. But Carr, for example, I watched him do that and he got really uncomfortable. Like the second that his back turned to the defense, he got super uncomfortable, which I think just goes into, again, he's a young quarterback. It's just a young
Most college guys are never asked to even do that.
Exactly.
They're just not. They get to the NFL and it's like, figure it out now, buddy.
And that's one of those little things that I will watch this year. And if they put him under center again for play action and he looks super confident doing it, it's a little thing where I go, you learned. Like you got better in an area that may seem very small, but it shows legitimate progression in who you are as a quarterback and how you operate. So that's all that to say, like, CJ Carr is a very talented quarterback, but it's those little things that I'm looking to see him really improve upon. And if he does, I think that if he does, certainly we're talking about him a lot closer to where you have him ranked than where I have him ranked. I think me having him at number 10 is just a little bit more of a, hey, he's a redshirt sophomore. Let's wait and see. But I'm excited to wait and see for CJ Carr. By the way, there are a lot of people talking about this in the chat. Did you watch CJ Bailey?
Yeah.
Okay.
God, the chat has talked more about CJ Bailey than any other quarterback.
I've seen a lot of people on social media really talk about CJ Bailey as well. So CJ Bailey, really quick, he did not make my top 12.
Same.
He is the quarterback at NC State. He's a true junior this year, so he's draft eligible for the first time. He is 6'6", 215 pounds. So he is a big, tall quarterback. Now he's got a little bit of a slender build to him, being 6'6" and just 215 pounds. But he's gained more than 30 pounds, I noticed, from when he was a recruit going from high school to college. They seem to love CJ Bailey at NC State. Like, they really seem to love this player. They want to rally around him. They want him to be their starting quarterback. He had 9 starts in 2024 as a true freshman, started all 13 games last year. But to me, I think he's got the big frame that could put even more weight and strength. He seems to be a really mentally tough kid that you want to invest in and see how much better he could potentially get. He's got that alluring size to him, but to me, a lot of inconsistencies with CJ Bailey.
Sure.
He's got a really long throwing motion to him, and that obviously affects how quickly the ball gets out of his hand.
How about the drop back?
What?
I thought his drop back was so slow.
Oh, like just like getting into his stance, like from a 3-step or a 5-step drop.
Yeah,
I didn't even note that.
I thought it just slowed down his entire process from the start. Because you watch him, NFL arm, can challenge tight windows. Like you brought up the height. I think the frame will continue to add mass. He's already played a lot of football considering how young he is.
Mm-hmm.
He did get his sack rate down significantly. It went from 6.4% in 2024 down to 4.4% last year. So he's taking less sacks. But it just all starts with it's a very slow process all the way from the drop back to the motion.
Yep. And there's not enough anticipation for him to overcome that right now. Everything has to be so much faster in how he plays the game. So I just wanted to mention that. Nathan said CJ Bailey is the Joe Milton of Tim Tebow's. Wow. Maybe. I
won't put Tebow on him. But, some of it was, he'll be a better prospect probably than this. But, like, when you watch Taylon Green last year.
Yeah.
You're like, man, you could throw the ball.
Taylon's more athletically gifted, though.
Way more athletically gifted, but the load up, it's like they're loading up a bazooka on their shoulder.
Yes.
So.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, back to the rankings. There were just a lot of people talking about CJ Bailey.
Yeah, no, I'm glad we addressed that because we didn't want to finish the show without talking about him.
Yeah. All right. Who do we want to talk about next?
I really want to hear you talk about Mensah because I talked about Carr.
Oh. Love him, brother. Dude. Darian Mensah. This was as a college football fan, you watch a lot of these guys, and you do go into summer scouting just, sort of, you've got your thoughts on these players already.
Like your storylines?
I could not have enjoyed watching Darian Mensah's tape more. I was so impressed, even beyond what I saw from him when I was watching him live at Duke. I loved watching Darian Mensah's tape. So he's a redshirt junior going into this season. He's 6'3", 205 pounds. That's 55th percentile in height, 7th percentile in weight. So a little bit smaller of a quarterback in that regard. He was a 3-star quarterback, played his high school football in California. He was the Mountain League Player of the Year when he was a senior. He also played basketball when he was in high school. Committed to Tulane. He redshirted his first year. Started all 13 games in 2024. Transferred to Duke. Started all 14 games last year. Now he transferred to Miami. So he is in the Miami quarterback pipeline that was, Cam Ward and Carson Beck.
Transfers well, man.
And they do. They're getting some good transfers.
Indiana
obviously.
And Miami. They're getting these transfer quarterbacks, and it's like car detailing, man. They look good when they come out of there.
Dude, I had so much fun watching, so much joy watching Mensah's tape, because going back to what the chat was talking about a little bit earlier, and something that I mentioned as well when they were talking about it, touch throws mean a lot to me as a scout. I was just on a podcast recently where Brad, who does a football podcast actually from Australia, which is really cool to be on that show with him. We were talking about traits that you can't get away from, that have to be present for a guy that you're absolutely going to love and project to be a major difference maker. And for quarterback, believe it or not, it's touch. Touch is the number one thing for me, because to me, it shows so much natural ability when you are able to complete touch passes. And Mensah can, in my opinion, with the best of them. I think he appears to have, even though, he's a little bit smaller in overall size, he appears to have big hands because of how much control he has over that spiral, how repeatable it is. That ball placement's consistently fantastic for him. He is a comfortable and confident touch passer, like I mentioned. The demeanor in the pocket is very Jordan Love-like to me. Now, I didn't quite have Jordan Love's arm strength, but it's very Jordan Love-like, in my opinion, where he is so cool, calm, and collected, and he plays with so much confidence, even until the very last moment where maybe sometimes he's got to throw off of that back foot, but when he does, it stays confident throughout. When he's reading the field, when he's getting rid of the ball, all of that. He's got experience in the shotgun, the pistol, a little bit under center, but not as much under center. That ball placement is fantastic. Honestly, anywhere within 50 yards, I felt like the ball placement was just consistently excellent from him. Ton of belief, confidence, moxie in how he plays the game. It is a quarterback that is so easy to believe in. Now, a little bit of the drawbacks. Overall arm talent, I think, reflects his a little bit smaller size, where I think that he's got an adequate arm. Is he going to be a constant threat to push it, 50-plus yards down the field? Maybe not. He's light on his feet, but he can get a little bit erratic with his lower body mechanics. But, man, even when he's throwing off of that back foot, like I was mentioning, like Jordan Love does, sometimes it can look really pretty there. And he doesn't have a ton of athletic ability, some escapability, a little bit of wiggle to how he runs, but he's not like a legit RPO threat. But, man, even though this is my little bottom line, like early bottom line that I had for him, Mensah's ball placement and touch in pressured and clean situations create a quarterback prospect that is easy to believe in. His arm talent might not be tier 1 in the league, but he will find and attempt the throws needed to be a winner at the NFL level. That's what I think of this player. I think that Mensah's awesome, and I was so impressed by what I saw from him last year.
I think the difference for us is I just don't see the arm of a first-round quarterback. It's just that he's accurate, good placement, keeps his eyes up the field. I think he's incredibly smart. You could see it, how he handles pressure, how he sees the blitz, his adjustments, attacking holes against zone coverage. It's just he exerts a lot of force into the deep ball, and I don't think he drives the ball outside the numbers the way I would hope a professional quarterback will. Miami, this makes a ton of sense for them. The wide receiver talent they have, get a guy that I talked about so much. Carson Beck, since the elbow surgery, turned himself into power thrower, but bad decision maker to point guard, game manager, and in a Miami team that went to the national title. Mensah already is a point guard. He's a smart quarterback. He's a distributor. He's going to do that for Miami's playmakers. Is he going to play in the pros? Yes, because he's smart. He's accurate. I just don't think he has a pro arm on a down-by-down basis to challenge every single level of the field vertically and horizontally.
See, if you're gonna critique something of Mensah, that's where you're gonna critique it 100%.
That's my holdup of him not being in my top 5.
I just think he sees the game well enough to actually make up for
overcome it.
There's a lot of quarterbacks where I will see, okay, they don't have the arm talent to overcome it, but they also don't process the game the way that they need to overcome it. Like, I think that Maiava, I obviously like him, but I felt like I watched Mensah command the field. I thought I watched him command where the ball was going as that true point guard type of a player. So some people in the chat are really going after his arm strength. I don't see it as that bad. Again, is it a tier 1, maybe even tier 2 arm in the NFL? No, but I think that the guy understands how to play quarterback. And to me, that is so important when you talk about a guy who's going to execute for you at the highest level. So I'm a big fan in how he sees the game.
And I think he made the right decision. I think going to Miami will help him. So,
all right, what are we hitting next? We had Julian Sayin. Should we talk about Julian Sayin next?
We should talk about Sayin.
We're kind of on that train. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Julian Sayin. Go ahead. Talk to me about him. I got him at QB7. You got him at QB5.
Julian Sayin, you see him listed 6'1", 207. Another young quarterback, 20 years old, very light. Let's start with the good. I think the ball is pretty snappy and explosive out of his hand, considering his size. I don't think he has this elite arm or anything. I just think the ball, it's snappy. He can get the ball out, and he's got enough juice on the ball where maybe it just surprises me because he's not a big quarterback, where I was like, oh, in that situation, he can really, really throw the ball. It's not like Leavitt. When we talked about Leavitt's a small quarterback that just has this howitzer when he's thrown to his right. It's not that. I think he's quick enough with his feet, and he can dip his shoulder and move the pocket. And I think he knows how to put enough air under the deep ball. I think that he looks undersized on the field. That's the number one thing right away. Like, you turn on the tape,
I mean,
and he is
6'1", 207, 14th percentile, 9th percentile, and that's if the measurements that Ohio State lifts him at hold up.
Now, you do have to grade on the scale of, okay, what's it going to look like when he's 22? Can he be 215 pounds and fully filled out? Let's hope.
Yeah.
Is he going to actually measure in at 6'1", like you said, Trevor, and not like 5'11" and 5'8" or 6 feet tall?
One cycle of anabolic steroids, right? Yeah,
we're here to consult.
You get popped, you serve the 6 games, guess what? The gains stay around.
There, of course, is going to be what it looks like when the lights get bright, and there's no denying. You look at last year, you watch the whole regular season, and you're like, okay, all this talent around him, not taking a lot of sacks. And then you get to the conference championship against Indiana, a front that creates havoc. He gets sacked 5 times. You look at him against Miami in the playoff. He gets sacked 5 times. Those are NFL players and NFL caliber chaos in terms of the rush. And I thought he folded. And he's a young quarterback, but there's just no denying it. Like, you want to be the man, you got to play big in those spots. There's no denying that for how productive he was, 77% completion percentage, the 32 touchdowns, 23 big-time throws by PFF's metric. Like, he makes big throws. There's no denying when you watch the tape, there's so much Jeremiah Smith and Carnell Tate running wide open.
Right.
There's no other way to say it.
Yeah, there is.
There's so much of that.
There is.
I think that, when it comes down to it, I think that he played well on 3rd and 4th downs, though, where for a young quarterback, it's like there's a lot of moments where he knew exactly what to do in tough spots. So I didn't really know what to do with Julian Sayin because age adjusted and talent, I thought he was a pretty good player. But I think the narrative can change real quick where if he plays as poorly as he did in the big games this year with all the talent Ohio State always has, then you're like, okay, he is limited. He's capped at some point where he's not going to make the jump into being, a first-round quarterback. And he's not today. There's no way around it. He's not a first-round quarterback today. But it's also difficult to evaluate because he doesn't make a ton of mistakes for such a young quarterback, but he has so much help. You know what I mean? He's just a weird watch where I think he's a talented player, and I was surprised with the explosiveness of the ball out of his hand compared to his size. Not a power thrower, but enough. But I didn't see upper echelon traits yet, combined with the fact that I thought he struggled in big spots.
So it's interesting with him is, we talked about this a little bit with other smaller quarterbacks that we've discussed on this show. Sayin has to put a good amount of his body into throws where he needs to ramp up the RPMs to get over the middle of the field or deliver the ball deep. But when he puts his full body into throws, it doesn't really affect the accuracy that much.
Right.
Like a lot of guys, that's the worry, right? With a lot of these smaller quarterbacks, is you go, you got to put a lot more body into your throws, and that's really where the inconsistencies and the accuracy starts to get shaky. Julian Sayin puts a lot of his body into throws, and he's still super accurate. So that, I think, is at least good of him, is that he's going to have to put a lot of his body into throws, and he's still able to deliver the ball sort of where he wants. He is that point guard type of a player. I think that he's got pinpoint accuracy when he's left clean, but, I like Julian Sayin as a player. I also think that he's physically limited because the stature and the numbers, the measurables would tell you that he is, and I think the tape also tells you that he is. You sort of mentioned that a lot of these wide receivers are running wide open for him. It's hard to judge Sayin for 2 reasons. One, he's a young quarterback. Right? He wasn't even draft eligible last year. 2, he plays for Ohio State. Ohio State's more talented than 80% of the teams that they go up against. And when I say more talented, I mean by a mile.
Is it not 100%? Everybody thought they were going to beat Indiana in the conference championship game, and they lost.
Right, but I guess what I'm saying is they at least go up against teams where it's even. The Oregon game, the Indiana game, the Michigan game some years. But it's like you at least go up against teams that are like, all right, Ohio State might have more NFL talent on them, but at least it's close. They go up against some of these teams, and it's like, all right, why are we playing this game? People are going to get hurt in this game for no reason, just so the fans in Columbus can watch their team put up 70. Which, hey, it's fun to do. I wish Florida would put up 70. That's another story. But I think that it's hard for me to have it in as much of a coward's voice as I possibly can have here. It's hard for me to have a really definitive heels in the ground take about Sayin when my take really is 2026 matters a lot for him. That's kind of it.
Right.
How much stronger did he get in the weight room? How much did he grow into his body and his overall strength? Do you get to see that in how he plays? How much quicker is he going to be to anticipate things? Because I feel like when he had to throw middle of the field, sometimes I felt like he was a tick slow to see it. And certainly in the NFL, you'll get eaten alive when you don't have a howitzer of an arm, when you have the measurables that he does. So you got to get quicker in that regard. And are you going to be more of the reason why this team is still as explosive on the offensive side of the football as we think that Ohio State is going to be? So for me, it really just is if somebody wants to argue, hey, I think that Julian Sayin's a top 10 quarterback in this class, be like, all right, I don't agree with that just because of the physical traits. But if somebody was like, nah, I think he's a bum, I think he's like a late day 3 quarterback, be like, all right, I don't really see that either. To me, it's just we got to let it play out with Julian Sayin. Now, that's not the case with all these guys. Like some guys you have a lot more tape on than others, but Julian Sayin is just one of those younger quarterbacks that, to me, I just need more time and need more answers.
Same.
And I need to see what actually improves from him from 2025 to 2026. Because if it's a lot of the same, then we've got a different conversation that we get to have in December and January when these guys are going to declare. And obviously, if it gets better or worse, then it's the same thing. But to me, it's a time thing with Sayin.
Same, clearly.
All right, who else we got to hit?
Trinidad.
Oh, Trinidad. Brother, I love Trinidad Chambliss.
It's easy to love.
Brother, I'm such a sucker for this player. I really am. I think he's the man. He's a 6th-year senior this year, so obviously he's one of the older prospects in the draft. You and I think, talked about this of like, hey, man, like, you're going through all of this effort to earn an extra year of eligibility. You go in the draft, I mean, you might be a first-round quarterback like by default because the draft wasn't that strong at quarterback, and you're coming off of a really nice season. The fact of the matter is, though, 5'11" and 7/8, so he's right under 6 feet tall. It's 3rd percentile. 108 pounds, which is actually nice. I wondered if he was going to be sub 200, but 108 pounds is actually a pretty good weight.
108?
Oh, sorry.
Was he in the 3rd grade?
208 pounds. No, 300. You know what? No, we're going beyond it. He's 308. I said what I said. 99th percentile for the quarterback position. Shout out Jared Lorenzen. 208 pounds, 12th percentile for the quarterback position, which is better than what I thought it was going to be for him. Very interesting background. 0-star quarterback in the 2021 recruiting class, by the way. Commits to Ferris State. Redshirted in 2021. Didn't play in 2022 because he had respiratory issues. Had 1 start in 2023. And then as a junior in 2024, he led Ferris State to a D2 national championship. He was the Great Lakes Intercollegiate Athletic Conference Player of the Year and a finalist for the Harlan Hill Trophy, which is basically the D2 Heisman Trophy. Transfers over to Ole Miss, and after not starting to begin the season, he ends up starting 13 of their 15 games, and my goodness, was it fun as hell. I mean, this kid is so much fun to believe in. That's why he is my top, like, true, like, small quarterback that I'm going to believe in. If you want to call Darian Mensah small, okay, I guess I have Darian Mensah ranked ahead of Trinidad Chambliss. But for the guys who are under 6 foot, right around 200 pounds, like, I don't believe in many of these guys anymore. I have a hard time not believing in Trinidad Chambliss. He is such a natural in all of his movements, how he throws the football, his feet, his fluid movements. He's got a smooth throwing motion to him, gets the ball out of his hand really fast, good pace, good arm strength, much better arm strength than expected for a player of his measurables. I think the accuracy and ball placement, where it was a little up and down sort of at the beginning of the year when he was first starting, man, you go back and you watch those end of the season games against Georgia and then Miami. Oh, this kid's fun. And he's completing some of the biggest passes that you need him to complete. I think he's a natural when he's throwing out of on the run and outside the pocket as well. Excellent innate touch on his passes, in my opinion, especially in the intermediate level of the field. That effective mobility really helps him be a little bit of a dual threat. Ran a lot of RPO stuff with Ole Miss. This is a player who is so obviously like the natural drawbacks. He's a smaller quarterback. He to me, when it came to the accuracy issues, which I felt like he did have sort of towards the middle of the season, that got better as the year went on, and when the games were the biggest and the opponents were the most difficult. And so to me, the end of his season means so much more than the middle of the season because it was his first time starting at a D1 level. So I take those end of the year games where he played really, really well against really good opponents with much more emphasis than I did the middle of the season. He throws some risky passes, but he also attempts the risky passes that you need to win football games. That I think this quarterback gives you a lot of reason to believe in what would be a smaller player. And I'm a sucker for the way that he plays the game.
I'm with you as well, man. Like, it's it's easy to like the tape, right? Number one is escapability reminded me of Cam Ward. He's not Cam Ward as a prospect. I want to make that clear. But his escapability, light base underneath him, springy lower half, evades pressure. He drives the ball with confidence on underneath throws, like the slants and digs. And it's like, nobody's telling him he's sub 6 feet tall.
Yep.
He doesn't play like a small quarterback on those kinds of throws. You see the touch. He could hit the whole shot between the corner and the safety. Didn't take sacks last year, 90th percentile, under 3% sack rate. And that's because he has good feel. That's something that's really hard. You kind of have it or you don't.
Yep.
He has a feel for pressure. And I don't think he gets enough credit for that as a pro prospect. Another thing, too, people say what they want about Ole Miss's offense. In 8 of his 13 games last year, he threw for 300-plus yards. He was asked to do a lot, to produce a lot, to go out and make plays for this team. And he did. You know, you take out the sacks, he had almost 600 rushing yards, 8 rushing touchdowns. He ran for 36 first downs. He had a throw against Miami in the semifinal that, to me, just shows what he's all about. That 3rd and 9 in the fourth quarter, he hung in. He got the absolute shit knocked out of him, and he ripped a first down completion over the middle of the field. I'm just like, yeah, he's tough. He'll hang in the pocket and throw the ball over the middle of the field. He's not trying to play where he needs to roll out and wait 9 seconds to throw the ball to a backyard kind of play. Now, yes, he's undersized. He's going to be 24 years old before the start of his rookie season. He had 16 passes batted down at the line of scrimmage last year, and some of that's the arm slot, the size, staring down targets. And I know I complained about this with Mensah. The intermediate throwing outside the numbers is not great right now. It's not something that you're going to ask him to do a ton of in the offense. And for better or for worse, he puts a lot of air under the deep ball and likes to throw the jump ball. So if you're drafting Trinidad Chambliss, you need to go have big perimeter targets that can climb the ladder and make plays for him. And at Ole Miss, they did. And he gives his guys a shot. I really want him to be good, Trevor.
Me too.
I have QB 6, which is kind of just sitting on the fence there. But he's got that D'Angelo Pons feel where it's like, okay, not a big recruit. All right, he played really good at JMU. All right, he played really good at Indiana. Wait, is D'Angelo Pons the best player on the field in the college football playoff? And I'm not saying that's going to be Trinidad, but at some point, you stop doing the whole, like, this guy can't do it. This guy can't do it. He's too small. He's too small. I'm not there yet, but man, I'm not ruling it out that Trinidad just overcomes these limitations and plays himself into being an NFL quarterback.
I'm with you. I will not rule out this player being a potential NFL quarterback. And I say that while fully understanding that it is an uphill climb when you are built the way that he is. But there is so much of how, of course, like we sit here and we talk about the things that honestly, like you can measure, right? Whether it's how often you take a sack or big time throws or turnover worthy plays or overall yards or how often you're under center or even just your height and your weight, like all of these. We talk so much about the things that you can measure, but there is still such an important part of just an immeasurable how you process the game that matters towards this position specifically, sometimes more than anything else. And for Trinidad Chambliss, he is the most natural quarterback, maybe in this class, in just how he sees the game. And it's so hard for me to quit a player who shows up when he is pressured, is able to bounce back when he makes a mistake, has that moxie and confidence to make the tight throws, the quick throws, all that stuff. So I'm a huge fan of Trinidad Chambliss, and I hope that he plays well this year because college football is going to be a lot of fun if he does.
All right, I think we're going to
Mestemaker next, right?
The guy that'll be, I mean, maybe the most interesting player to talk about before the season starts.
Drew Mestemaker?
Yeah.
All right.
Do you agree?
I agree because he is talked about.
Pounder.
What happened? Incredible comment. Mesta Goat. We've got Mesta Goat here as well. Wow, QB1. See, okay. So a lot of people
I'm telling you
are talking about Drew Mestemaker as a potential QB1. Connor, You looked up this guy's background, right? Like going into high
he didn't
school.
start in high school. He was
Dude,
he was a punter and a safety.
Yeah, I was going. Hold on. He indeed did start in high school. He was their starting punter his senior year.
And I think he was a good one.
34 yards a punt.
Okay.
I don't know if that's good in high school.
Well, their level of competition, like in Texas, would it shock me if guys are punting the ball 45 yards? No, it wouldn't.
So, Mestemaker, 0-star quarterback. And the reason why he was a 0-star quarterback from Austin, Texas, didn't start at all at the quarterback position his entire high school career. As a junior, he was the backup to Braden Buchanan, who is a college baseball player for Baylor. And as a senior, he was a backup to Deuce Adams, who, did he play at Wisconsin?
I just remember him being a big recruit.
I know he was a Louisville commit. Did he play at Wisconsin or did he go to Louisville?
He's at Louisville.
He's at Louisville. Okay.
I believe.
So didn't start at all. Walks on at North Texas.
He transferred to Wisconsin. Good call. Yes.
Okay, there we go. Walks on at North Texas. Starts one game, but redshirts his first year there. Starts all 14 games. Just goes from fifth on the depth chart when he gets there to backup quarterback right before his true freshman season. Ends up redshirting. Started all 14 games last year. And it's just so funny to me that this guy didn't play quarterback at all in high school. 6'3", 215 pounds. But he plays a lot bigger than his listed size. So I wanted to make sure that I laid the groundwork of how we got here with Mestemaker, who started in North Texas, and then I mentioned he transferred over to Oklahoma State, so he's going to be playing for Oklahoma State this upcoming season for the first time. But you've got him at QB4. I got him at QB6. Talk to me about Drew Mestemaker.
Man, so number one.
Meat fabric.
Just I cannot.
The chat's on one.
Right away, you watch him. And you're like, he had to watch Aaron Rodgers growing up. He had to. I'm not saying like he is Aaron Rodgers at all. I'm saying that how he wants to play. He definitely watched Aaron Rodgers growing up.
You got Rodgers out of his tape?
No, not what he wants to be.
Yeah, okay.
The shades of guy for me was actually Darnold. USC Darnold.
Oh.
Like I was like, and Darnold caught a lot of that, like the way they move around the pocket and then can throw off platform. Rodgers is a one of one. So there would never be another. Aaron Rodgers did things in his prime that we will never see again.
Correct.
But you have this era of quarterbacks that watched him play the position, and like greats do, you have an era of athletes that watch them and want to be them. And he tries to play that way a lot, where you look at him, he constantly wants to be light on his feet. Mm-hmm. Like he's holding the ball. I see Aaron in the chat goes, Rodgers Light was literally my comp, but I didn't want to say it out loud. Yeah, I'm not doing that either, pal. I'm with you all the way. But when you watch him play, he wants to have his feet buzzing and hopping and doesn't want this lower body effort all the time, where he's just like, I want to be springy and I want to be able to just fire the ball out with my upper body. He's not afraid to stand tall in the pocket, though, and rip middle of the field throws.
Like, he's not just a middle of the field was a plus that I wrote down.
Yeah. I was like, okay, he likes to do like I can hop around and throw the off platform. But then I'll also, as a big quarterback, because you see him 6'3", 215, he'll stand tall and rip middle of the field throws.
Yeah.
And then he has no problem, comfort level, rolling out and throwing on the move.
Alfie said, F it, he's Dan Marino 2.0.
Let's crank this baby up a couple notches. Now, let's get into, because those are the positives, is that he can really operate in any manner as a quarterback, whether it's on the move, whether it's readjusting the pocket, or simply standing tall in the pocket. Not once in a while, too often he has this looping throwing motion.
Dude, it's because he holds the ball at his belly button.
That's what.
Why is he doing that? We need to get that thing up, brother.
He hasn't played football.
He hasn't
played. He's holding it like he's ready to punt.
Dude, you might be right. You might be right. But
You're
yes,
right. You're right,
the throwing
though.
motion it's way too unnecessarily long.
Look at the picture we have of him. So he holds the ball low and then he loops on the throwing motion.
Didn't Darnold do that at USC?
Yes, Darnold did the same exact thing.
Dude,
I'm telling you,
such a good call.
when you watch it, you could tell I had to watch a lot of Darnold that year.
You did, yeah. You're the Vietnam dog flashbacks right here.
It's so true. Oh man, worked out great. He won a Super Bowl.
He did. Yeah, never wrong. Never wrong. Just early, baby.
So
Jets.
He played at North Texas this year. He played so much like USC Darnold, for better and for worse. And that looping throwing motion creeps up often. The lower body is rarely in sync with his upper half. And this goes to the Rodgers point. Rodgers could do it because he's Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers just one of the most gifted human beings in terms of that we will ever see in our lifetime. Maybe the most gifted.
Mm-hmm.
Mestemaker, at times you look at and go, holy crap.
No, he's got, yeah.
But there's a lot of times where it's also bad when he does that.
Mm-hmm.
When his lower half is not insane. And he hasn't played a lot of football, so that's not surprising.
Yeah.
In terms of seeing the field, very raw. He will force throws into dangerous areas with lurking defenders and just be like, well, hey, I haven't had a lot of chances to read coverages, so I don't know what this is, but I'm throwing it. And that's a guy that needs to play. He needs to play football, so it's not surprising to see that. He can scramble. He's not a dangerous runner, in my opinion.
No.
He can move, but it's not like, oh, God, he broke contain. Oh, damn it, like he's going to run for 20 yards and we're screwed. It's never like that to me. So my final line, I just wrote he's a high-variance quarterback with shades of Sam Darnold in his game. Mestemaker will have to stay on an upward trajectory as he faces a higher level of competition.
Yeah, no, it's the Sam Darnold call is an absolutely great call. Nathan in the chat says Mestemaker is going to be the Ohtani of the NFL, is QB1 and also the punter.
There you go.
Dude, can you imagine the fakes that you would get to run if your quarterback was also your primary punter? Yeah. I mean, the special teams coordinator for the opposing team wouldn't sleep. I mean, he'd just be up for days. Would have no idea what's coming. You have no idea.
And the coach leaves it up to him. Like, he reads the punt unit, and he's like, yeah, we're throwing a fade here.
And then you
punting.
And then you cross-train your wide receiver 1 to also be the gunner. Like, you're like, yeah, we're saving a roster spot. Our top wide receiver is going to be the gunner, and our quarterback's going to be the punter. That's what's going on here.
I already see this is what is going to turn around the New York Jets. With their own pick, they're going to draft Jeremiah Smith, and with either the Colts or Cowboys Packers pick, they're going to take Mestemaker.
Yeah. And
they are going to run the true 4-down offense.
Yeah.
Where he has the punt option and Jeremiah Smith is the gunner.
Yeah. And he learns like Aussie rules punting as well. Yeah. So like if he's breaking the pocket, technically he could just run to the sideline and just boot it after that.
Yeah,
man.
Yeah, the no hang time.
We might be onto something here. Actually,
yeah, I think we figured it out.
We might need to cut this. From
you can
see
the YouTube thumbnail. Did we fix the Jets?
PPO, punt pass option. That's a great comment.
Nice job, Craig Jeff.
That was good. No, Mestemaker, I'm with you, man. There are some really good moments for him. I watched him play, and I was like, "There's no way he's 6'3", 215 pounds. Like he's got to be 6'4", 6'5", like 230, like 225. Something. He
looks way bigger than 215. I totally agree, and he's 20.
Yeah. So
he might be 260, all muscle in 2 years.
He has. It's crazy to think that this guy didn't start as a quarterback in high school. It's crazy. It is wild to think that with how we are talking. I mean, this guy went from not starting at quarterback since he probably played JV as a freshman in high school to playing 1 year at North Texas. And now we're talking about him getting drafted in the top 10 of the National Football League.
He literally is the pointing meme guy.
Yeah.
Mom, I don't want to go to the NFL.
Crazy. But he has a lot of things that he needs to improve upon with more playing time. But this is an exciting year for him. There's no doubt about it.
Watching him, I had a couple moments where I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to make him QB2. And then I finally like settled down and was like, no, there's a lot of things here that are a huge work in progress, but still having QB4.
Yeah.
I mean, this dude is one good college season away from being a top 5 pick. Let's call it what it is.
If you were wrong, I'd correct you. But here we are. Here we are. You can't teach the talent.
Nathan says just did an NIL shoot with him. He's a good dude.
Oh, okay.
Stock up. Good dude stock.
No, stock down. No, stock down.
Yeah, no, I need bad guys at quarterback.
The NFL needs a villain. Dante Moore. I have him as QB2. You got him as QB3. He is a senior at Oregon this upcoming season. Listed at, I think, 6'3", but in reality, he's just under 6'3", 206 pounds. So he's around the 45th percentile in height, 8th percentile in overall weight. 5-star quarterback from Detroit, Michigan. Won back-to-back state championships as a junior and a senior when he was in high school. Committed to UCLA. Started 5 games when he was at UCLA. And as a 5-star quarterback, Connor, I watched his tape. I'm not going to lie. I don't know if I've hated any undraftable quarterback's tape any more than I hated Dante Moore's at UCLA.
I remember you saying this at the
time.
I
felt like I was like, this player is unplayable at the college level, let alone the NFL level. And the reason I was watching that is because he only played in 3 games in 2024 because he was the backup to Dylan Gabriel. And then, like, he sort of went into 2025, and it's like, yeah, okay, he's going to be draft eligible. We didn't really have anything to work with from him. But he started all 15 games last year, and it was night and day. He was so much better of a quarterback. He was so much more poised. He had fantastic accuracy, and that's really the way that we talk about him right now. There's a world, and maybe it was a very likely world, where he'd have been the Jets' pick at number 2 overall if he would have declared last year.
I could tell you that he would have been.
Okay, so he would have been. You already fixed the Jets, so I know that. You know, they got in your ear. We moved on
from the Dante Moore experience. We're on to the punt pass option with Mestemaker and Jeremiah.
Dante Moore's got a smooth, quick release, ideal fundamentals, very repeatable. When he's kept clean and even under pressure, the accuracy, the ball placement, they stay very, very high because of it. He's not a mobile quarterback, but he's got some good escapability to him. He's got experience under center. They'll put him under center every now and then in Oregon's offense, which is good to see. He's got great pre-snap reads, I think. And the reason why I know that is because the timing of those quick releases and how he's able to attack the defenses is just so confident the ball is exactly where it needs to be so often. That accuracy stays high even when he's on the run and he's escaping the pocket, which again goes back to some really good natural throwing ability and then just the clean fundamentals as well. I didn't think there was much panic when he was pressured last year. Of course, like everybody, all the passing grades and efficiency go down when you're pressured, but relative to other quarterbacks, I thought he operated very, very well under pressure. The arm strength to me is on the average side, the adequate side when it comes to the NFL. And I wonder if that's a reason why maybe he got some feedback from the NFL and they're like, I don't know how highly he'll get drafted. I don't know how true that would have been, but I think that the arm strength is probably a reason for that. The lower weight could be a factor when it comes to the overall durability. I think it is a little bit when it comes to the lack of power in his arm when he's really driving the football. But lots to like from this player who already feels like he really took a massive leap forward last year as a first-time starter. Excited to see him this year, but if he continues to be one of those great facilitators, I mean, we're going to talk about a very, very efficient quarterback that some offense is going to look at and say, hey, we can make this guy our starting quarterback. We can get him surrounded with a good offensive line, a good run game, good wide receivers, and we're going to have a pretty potent offense if we put the ball in this guy's hands. So I think that's the way that I view Dante Moore, who to me gets a late first, early second round grade for me going into this season. But that's where I've got Dante Moore.
Very similar scouting report from me. Multiple clubs in the bag, can layer those throws. I think he's got good feet to navigate the pocket, but he's not fast and he's slender. The one thing I want to see a little more of, and maybe this just is what it is at his size, the control of the football as a pocket passer. He doesn't feel like a guy that drops back and just has this great control of the football to drive it around the field.
So there are some games where he's wearing a glove, either mostly it's not on his throwing hand, but it's on sometimes it's on his non-throwing hand. Like you can even see it in the picture there. Yeah. It's not on his throwing hand, but I always wonder, with quarterbacks who will wear a glove either on both hands, which doesn't happen all the time, or mainly just a hand on the off hand. That's kind of a sign of hey, you need a little bit more help with the grip on the football, just because you have smaller hands. So that leads to a little bit less control, kind of what you were talking about there.
It's funny that you bring that up that way, because I wrote at the bottom of this, he reminded me at times of Louisville Teddy B.
Ah, okay. Yeah, sure.
Like same style, tall and slender. Tall enough, not tall. He's got NFL height. Slender. More of that multiple kind of pitches kind of thrower rather than drop back, power grip, power arm.
Right.
Before Teddy got hurt, he could move and navigate the pocket.
Love Teddy before he got hurt.
But not fast, not like breakaway speed, fast. So, yeah, I think that is exactly what a late first, second round kind of guy is what Dante Moore is. I like Dante Moore. I don't know if I'll ever love Dante Moore.
I think Dante Moore can win in the league, but I don't think he'll ever be in like the tier 1 quarterback conversation.
I'm more excited about, there's way more volatility, but I'm more excited about Mestemaker this year. And Mestemaker might not even go in the first 3 rounds. He might have a bad year and he's got to go back to school, and Dante Moore ends up going 16th overall. But I'm more excited for the growth he can take than Moore. But I have Moore ranked higher.
Man, tall guy in the chat said Teddy had a wet noodle arm. No, he did not.
Teddy's arm was fine. But Moore doesn't have a great arm.
So funny enough that you brought up Teddy Bridgewater.
Teddy has, not had.
Oh.
Teddy's arm was probably better before he literally had a life-changing lower body injury.
Teddy's my early comp for Mensah.
It's not crazy.
You know? And for the exact same reasons. But I think that Mensah and Moore are similar quarterbacks. I think they're in the similar sort of like archetype. They play the game a little bit differently when it comes to how they're approaching, throwing it down the field and when they want to get rid of the football. But I think that like physically, both of them are kind of the same, which is why the Teddy comp kind of comes to mind for both of those players. All right, we want to talk about Arch?
Yeah, let's run it back. It went so well for us last year.
Hold on really quickly. Peter said, so if he's not in that group, then why was Moore talked about as the number 2 overall pick? Because quarterbacks go high.
Because what did Trevor say? Trevor said, I think you could win with him.
And if you can convince yourself that you could win with him,
you're going to take him.
The Jets might
have failed miserably.
Maybe, but if the NFL draft so often comes down to, now I'm not saying this is correct. I feel like I'm more of a harsh critic on a lot of these quarterbacks who go higher than the NFL is. But at the end of the day, the phrase is very true. 2 teams in this league, ones who have a quarterback and ones who don't. And the ones who don't, they're going to take a chance on all kinds of quarterbacks. Quarterbacks with high ceilings, quarterbacks with high floors. You never know. You just got to get one.
Because the ones that don't have jobs for long.
No, Peter's saying, but that high. I mean, I get it. I get it.
That's the desperation,
right? And that was also
survival mode.
And that was also the class, right? Like, for example, if Mendoza was always going number 1, if Dylan Stewart was in last year's class and Dante Moore was in last year's class, I think the Jets are taking Dylan Stewart at number 2 overall, right? So I just don't think that there was a lot that was really against Dante Moore potentially going 2 overall. So I think the class also goes into that a little bit. But anyways, let's talk about Arch Manning. So we set the primer for Arch Manning last year in last year's summer scouting when both of us had him as QB1 going into the season. 5-star quarterback from New Orleans, Louisiana. He is the son of Cooper Manning. Obviously, his grandfather is Archie Manning. His uncles are Peyton and Eli. When Arch attended the same high school that Eli and Peyton attended, Arch broke Eli's record for passing yards of over 7,000, and Peyton broke Peyton's record of touchdown passes of 93. Started from his true freshman year in high school, so they call him the anti-Drew Mestemaker in that regard. Committed to Texas, played sparingly in 2023, backed up Quinn Ewers in that season, and then he played 2 games in 2024, but same thing, backed up Quinn Ewers in 2024 as well. Started all 13 games in 2025, and it got off to a rough start. Had a really tough going of Ohio State to start the season. And it was kind of strange, right? Because it felt as though, and I don't know if anybody's come out and said this concretely, but it sure felt like he changed his throwing motion.
Something was weird.
From 2024 to 2025. And I'll get into that throwing motion a little bit more in a second, but I think that this more sort of like almost like shot put sidearm throwing motion, he was still working through it against Ohio State. And look, it's really tough your first start in college football. It doesn't matter whether your last name's Manning or not, to be in Columbus against that Ohio State team.
Well, now we know who Arvell Reese is.
Right, exactly. So you give him a little bit of grace in that regard. But as the season went on, Arch got better and better and better. And is he a perfect quarterback? No. But sitting here at almost 6'4", 230 pounds, plus athleticism for a player who's pushing the scale above 230, the way that he can basically deliver any throw that you possibly want him to make, I think that the distance is a little bit capped for him because of that now abbreviated and more sidearm release. I think that goes into, how far he's able to push the ball deep down the field. But the athleticism is a lot more resemblance of Archie than it is Eli and Peyton. I thought the footwork looked really good for him last year, especially as the year went on. He got more and more comfortable with it, was more and more consistent with what he was doing. I think he is, as you would expect for a guy whose last name is Manning, well beyond his years at how he diagnoses defenses pre and post snap. Very ideal out of structure abilities, has that escape ability, good eyes downfield, the quick release, can fire off platform, really good pocket awareness. I mean, you watch this guy and it's like, he's moving around the pocket like you would in the Madden training camp drill, where they're like firing the different balls at you and you got to like go up and down the pocket and everything and then fire whenever the receiver's icon lights up. I mean, like that's Arch Manning. I mean, the way that he navigates the pocket, the way that he sees the field, the way that he diagnoses defense, it is already at a pro level, as you would expect with a player like that. And so does he have the greatest arm in the world? No. I think it's certainly an adequate arm for the NFL level. I would call it above average as well, especially for him being able to push it with that sidearm release. But there is so much more to like about Arch Manning and who he could be at the NFL level than even the criticism that we saw at the beginning of 2025. So that's also why he is number one for me this year.
It's a weird one, right? Because I don't think he's as good of a preseason prospect like a year out from his draft as Trevor Lawrence or Caleb Williams and Drake May and guys like that. But I think, and there's so much attention on him, fair and unfair, where, like you said, Trevor, after the Ohio State game, he was massacred by, it felt like every college football fan. Like you guys said, this guy was going to be great. And I think right now, I thought he plays like a bigger Jackson Dart. That was exactly how I thought he plays. Dart has a good arm, not a great arm.
Mm-hmm.
Dart's a good athlete. Arch is a really, really good athlete. I still think he's a little raw sometimes seeing those lurking defenders. I think there's too many misses in the quick game that he's got to hit because he's just too talented. He's still growing under pressure. The ball control that I talked about previously on the run is not great. When he's throwing on the run, he will lose control and not throw a perfect ball. But man, like you look at the size, the athleticism, the escapability, the twitch. The thing I like the most about Arch is, and I think once again, I think Dart does this really well. He does not need a lot of space in the pocket to unleash throws.
No, especially with the abbreviated throwing motion.
Right.
Like that's the pro of that. The con is that I feel like there aren't a lot of times 50, 60 yards down the field he's actually able to deliver it to a wide receiver in stride because he just doesn't have that same drive and juice. But I think the positive is what you mentioned. When he's got to get the ball out quick, he can get the ball out quick.
And man, he's going to get to this year play with a receiver that he can go a little bit more effort mode sometimes. With Cam Coleman. And I won't spoil the Cam Coleman conversation on this show. That's the wide receiver show. But I think that's going to elevate Arch's confidence to do things after having experience as a starter and having an elite talent out there that is going to bring out the best in him.
Yep. I am so excited for the Arch Manning and Cam Coleman pairing.
My goodness.
And I'm very interested to see. I mean, the big thing for me is can you hit the ground running from where you were at the end of last season with Arch? And if you do, we got a hell of a quarterback to watch this upcoming season. And then is the throwing motion the same? Is it the same throw? Because, some people hinted at like, did he have a shoulder injury? Was he playing through something? Texas never said that he was playing through anything. So I'm very curious as to, is the throwing motion exactly the same this year? And if it is, then obviously we've got 2 years of a sample size to evaluate and say, hey, this is really just the quarterback that he is and how he's going to get rid of the football. And we'll obviously continue his analysis throughout this entire season. Let's recap here. Top 12s. Number 1, I had Arch Manning, obviously. Dante Moore from Oregon was at number 2. Darian Mensah was number 3. Trinidad Chambliss 4. Jayden Maiava 5. Drew Mestemaker at 6. Julian Sayin 7. LaNorris Sellers 8. Sam Leavitt at 9. CJ Carr at 10. John Mateer at 11. And then Josh Hoover at 12. Connor, you read.
I had Arch Manning at 1. CJ Carr at 2. Dante Moore at 3. Drew Mestemaker at 4. Julian Sayin at 5. Trinidad Chambliss at 6. LaNorris Sellers at 7. Jayden Maiava at 8. Damon Williams at Washington at 9, Darian Mensah at 10, Sam Leavitt at 11, and John Mateer at 12.
Is there a quarterback that didn't make your top 12 that you are, I don't know, most intrigued to see? For me, Ashton Daniels from Florida State is somebody that I'm really intrigued to watch. He's a redshirt senior. He's 6'2", 232 pounds. This is a big physical quarterback, and he's got really good run game. Like he is great on the run. He's a true dual threat type of a quarterback. The passing isn't as consistent as you would want it to be, and he needs to speed up his process of how he sees the field. But I love the physical gifts that he comes with. 3 straight state championships when he was in high school. He was at Stanford as a Wildcat quarterback his first year. 10 starts in 2023, 10 starts in 2024, transferred to Auburn. Only played in 4 games, 3 starts in 2025, but I think he'll get the chance to be a starting quarterback for Florida State. So I'm very interested. He reminds me a lot of Trey Lance, where he's like got the physical tools to play at the NFL level, but can he take that next step when it comes to sort of processing, seeing the field? But Ashton Daniels is somebody that I'm excited to watch this upcoming season.
I'll throw out a small school name that I watched, Jordan Cook from Idaho State.
Yeah, I watched him too.
Yeah, 6'3" and a quarter, 241 pounds, redshirt senior. I mean, he's got a NFL quarterback body and NFL quarterback arm. It's just, he could throw the ball all over the field, arm strength, arm angles, bucket throws, delayed process, kind of loads up like a bazooka. Mechanics aren't consistent play to play. He was only pressured on 76 of his 416 dropbacks last year, so you don't get to see a lot of him in adversity situations. But definitely, if you want that small school guy out there, everybody listening to this, Jordan Cook at Idaho State is on the NFL radar.
Yeah, some people in the chat are asking about DJ Lagway. Obviously, I watched a ton of Lagway over the last couple of years at Florida. Now he's at Baylor. I mean, Lagway's got tons of arm talent. I mean, he's got physical talent in the NFL, or to play in the NFL for days. There's no question about it. But he is just far too erratic with how he reads defenses, especially deep down the field. Yeah. Way too many turnover-worthy plays. So it's got to be a night and day difference for him at Baylor. So
we should, before we close this thing out, talk Sorsby today. Or do you want to do that? Is that a longer conversation? I mean, we're going to cover the supplemental draft, I'm assuming.
Yeah. So I think, where would he have ranked in your top 10? I think we could say that really quick. But
he would have been 9. So where I had Damon Williams, he would have been right. He would have been after Sellers and Maiava. He would have been 9.
I would have had him somewhere between after Drew Mestemaker and like where CJ Carr was at 10. Like he would have been somewhere between 7 and 10 for me. I don't know exactly. Similar. Yeah, like in that Julian Sayin, LaNorris Sellers, Sam Leavitt, CJ Carr type of bucket, like he would have been. I think he would have been in that spot for me. But we could talk about Sorsby because I did the full breakdown for him.
Same.
And so we could talk about Sorsby when we do our supplemental mock draft episode that we'll do at some point.
Who gets the first pick?
Yeah, you do, buddy. I'm not doing shit that episode.
He said it's his day off.
We'll talk Sorsby because now we need to talk about him. It's a different type of lens that we have to view him through, with him going into the NFL versus having another year to be able to continue to get better. But we know there's a lot of other names throughout the college football world that are draft eligible, and we're sure that you guys want to hear our takes on that. We watched a lot more than 12, so hit us up at the comment section. We don't have any super chats to go through with the after the episode portion of the show, but hit us up in the comment section. We'll read and respond to as many as we possibly can. Let us know what quarterbacks you want us to give you our thoughts on, and give us your quarterback rankings as well. We love hearing from you guys too. This is a scouting community, not just the two of us giving you our rankings. We want to see your rankings as well. Like we said in the middle of the show, if you're not subscribed to NFL Stock Exchange, we would love for you to be. Like we said, it is a free and easy way to support this channel, and come back for the other position ranking episodes. We're going to have a ton of them throughout the summer, getting you ready for college football and the NFL as best we can. Connor, anything else before we get out of here?
It feels good to be back, brother. Watching tape.
Yep.
Summer scouting.
Love it.
The chat grows every year this time of year. I can't believe. I shouldn't say can't believe. I love how many people are so invested into the draft a year before it happens, and it's only getting bigger and better. So shout out to everybody that watched this one live, and shout out to everybody that caught it after. And let us know a guy you're planting the flag on, right?
Yeah.
Like a guy that you think is going to blow up. Who's going to be the big riser this year? I'd love to hear it in the comment section.
Yeah, we would. For the chef behind the scenes, making it all possible for Connor Rogers, I'm Trevor Sikkema saying thank you so much once again for watching this episode of the NFL Stock Exchange Show. See you guys next time.